Yo, what's up with y'all boys and girls, man? Hey, it's Jay Briggs here, man, cooking up some of this NFL Week 1 football. I am so glad to have my favorite league, my favorite sport back, man, the NFL and football. Many of you may think it's the NBA, as I do cook up the NBA for Pick Dawgz here with my NBA Jam session, man. This show is very similar to that show, name and all. This is my NFL Jam session, and on this show, I am going to cook up every single game on the NFL schedule all season, man. Starting with Lions and Chiefs this Thursday night, taking us through the playoffs and through the Super Bowl, man. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and you buckle up, man, as we are in for a really fun, exciting, and profitable year betting NFL football, man. If you're looking for my best bets, the plays that I feel most comfortable with, the plays that me personally I have the most money on, you can find those plays over at Pick Dawgz Premium, man, if that's what you're looking for. We have a great schedule here, week 1. I don't remember this many division games to start off a season, man, week 1. So a lot of implications later on in the season are going to be determined off of a week 1 football. So these games are meaningful. I can't wait to break them down with you guys right now. And without further ado, let's make this money this year. And let's kick off the 2023-2024 NFL season. All right, man. First game of the year, man. NFL football is finally back. We got the defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, at the crib, laying 4.5 points on the Detroit Lions. Total down from 54 to around 52.5, with the news that Travis Kelce could possibly miss this game with a hyperextended knee. Chris Jones, also the staple of this defense, still holding out for contract reasonings. I will say, I'm recording this on Wednesday. We saw Nick Bosa get tremendously overpaid, in my opinion, today. So I don't think it's entirely impossible that Chris Jones could get paid in the next coming day and play in the game on Thursday. On to the Lions, man. This is a team that closed out last year really well. Damn near made the postseason. A high-scoring offense, a potent offense that I don't think got enough credit as the year progressed last year. I love the addition of Jamar Gibbs. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is underrated. Jared Goff, a guy who's been to a Super Bowl, a game manager, not the most talented guy in the league, but a guy who's not going to lose you a lot of football games, a guy who's won a lot of football games in the National Football League. I think this offense is due for another great year. Probably going to be a top 5 offense in all of football, behind one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the National Football League, man. But on the other side, we got the best play caller in the league and the best quarterback in the league, the best head coach and quarterback duo in the entire National Football League, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Even if Travis Kelce doesn't play, I still expect these guys to be able to figure it out with the plethora of weapons they have over there. And, man, I expect the Chiefs to score points as well. I think we're looking at a high-scoring, entertaining first football game of the year. With that being said, man, I look at an over, and I would look at grabbing the points with the Detroit Lions. Man, I really think the Lions score points with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm thinking 31-28 Chiefs. Lions get the back door. Not the back door, but get the cover overall. So that's what I'm looking at. First game of the year here on Thursday Night Football. And we're on to Sunday, man, where we open things up with the Baltimore Ravens, man. They're at the crib, laying double digits, 10 points on the Houston Texans. I think we all can agree that the Ravens are the better team here in this football game. I think they're poised for a pretty big season as well. No longer having to deal with the Lamar Jackson contract controversy, man. He signed under contract. This is a guy who's already won an MVP. He's led the National Football League in touchdown passes. We know how dynamic he is running the football. He now has some legitimate weapons on the outside, guys like Zay Flowers, guys like Odell Beckham Jr. I'm expecting J.K. Dobbins to have a pretty good season. I think the defense is in good hands with Roquan Smith and the guys, man. I think if things break the right way, if Lamar Jackson returns to that MVP form, the Ravens have a chance to make some serious noise in the AFC this year, man. But here's the thing. Laying double digits in the NFL is something I almost never feel comfortable doing. And doing that week 1 just doesn't seem like a great place to be, in my opinion, man. I am leaning smallly to the Houston Texans getting the 10 points here in this one. I think D'Amico Ryans brings some of that defensive toughness from the 49ers. He helped build that defensive culture there. We know how good that defense is. I think we see the Texans improve defensively. I do think we see C.J. Stroud go through some early struggles, man. This is a guy who always had the better team in college, had one of the most amazing wide receiver rooms there. That's not the case here in Houston. The guys are not going to be getting the same situation. They're going to be tighter windows. I do think we see him go through growing pains. And I do think the Ravens win this game and win it comfortably. But in my mind, I think 10 points is a lot of lumber to lay, especially week one. I think the Ravens could possibly come out and stumble a bit early. You got to remember, these guys haven't played together in any game yet. I got the Ravens winning, but I got them winning 28-20, and I think the Texans get the cover here in this one. Next up, man, we got an early division battle, man. We got the Atlanta Falcons laying 3.5 points on the Carolina Panthers, man. A very interesting game, in my opinion. We get to see what Bryce Young finally looks like under center. I know we saw him in some preseason action. I'm not taking much of anything from that, man. The Panthers really dumbed down their offense for the preseason, weren't using a whole lot of motion, man. I think we're mainly just trying to get Bryce Young up to speed of the NFL. So again, not going to take a whole lot from what I've seen from Bryce Young in the preseason and try to apply that here. This is what I think of this game. I think these two teams always play really tightly contested games. One of my worst beats last year was in Falcons Carolina with the DJ Moore bomb at the end of the game, man. It just seems like these two teams always play each other competitive. And getting over a field goal and the hook with the Carolina Panthers, man, I think is the best place to be in this football game. I'm going to grab the points. Now, I do think the Falcons have a legitimate shot to win this division, too. I think this is a weaker division. The Panthers have a shot to win it as well. I'm interested to see what it's going to look like. Both teams have young quarterbacks. Really starting the season off for the first time. Desmond Ridder did see some action last year, but most of the action went to Mariota and Heineke. Ridder kind of got in there in the end. So I'm not sold on the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons are 3.5 points better than their division rival. I just don't. I think if this game was in Carolina, the Panthers would be favored by 3. I think it's that razor sharp. So with all this being said, I think that the Panthers can compete here. Even though the Falcons got Bijan Robinson, who could be the best running back in football day one, I still think there's a ton of value on Carolina, man, taking a division dog here. I'm going to grab the points with the Carolina Panthers with first overall pick Bryce Young, as I think they can compete and will compete and possibly win this game outright on the road week one. Next up, man, we got another tough division battle, man. We got my second favorite team, the Cincinnati Bengals, man, laying 2.5 points on the road on the Cleveland Browns. Very interesting game, man. So coming into this game, it looks like Joe Shiesty will get the start, man. He was dealing with an injury from earlier in training camp. We thought he could miss some regular season time, but it looks like he will get the start here. I'm a little worried about the Bengals and Joe Burrow and my second favorite team early in this year. Now, to close out last year, man, they were a cover machine, man. We made a ton of money betting the Cincinnati Bengals, man. And I do think that probably will be the case again this year, but I think that they struggled to begin this year, kind of like they did last year. If you remember, they lost first game of the year last year to the Steelers in a very tightly contested divisional game. Evan McPherson missed a field goal. We saw them lose on the road to the Dallas Cowboys, another tough team with a tough defense. The Cowboys didn't even have their starting quarterback. We didn't have Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush started that game. We saw them struggle there. Offensive line really was a downside for the Bengals last year. And with Burrow already kind of injured, offensive line still a question mark, and going up against a Cleveland Browns whose defensive line is a major strength for them, I'm worried about the Cincinnati Bengals here in this first game, and I'm actually going to take the Cleveland Browns plus the points in this one. I think the Browns have a legitimate shot to win this game outright. I think the Browns are going to have a better season. I think Deshaun Watson is going to have a tremendous bounce back season now, a year in this Cleveland system, a year removed from all that controversy. I think Deshaun Watson could possibly return to that guy that we thought he was a couple of years ago. I think Nick Chubb is one of the best running backs in the league and is going to run the air out of the ball like he always does. They have a good receiving core out there. Amari Cooper leading it. Defensive wise, like I said, I talked about that defensive line. They're at home here. It's a division game. I love the Cincinnati Bengals, man. I do. We made a ton of money betting them last year, but I just don't think the spot sets up very well for them here week 1 on the road facing a division foe who is hungry to have an amazing season. I think the Browns compete here game 1, and I'm going to grab the points with them here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the crib getting 5 points, man. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming to town. Jags favored by 5. I do think the Jags are the better football team, man. The Jags, we saw them have some success last postseason. Really turned it on towards the end of last year. We're down 27 points in their first playoff game. We saw them come back, win that, beat the Chargers, and then go on to lose the next game. But I do think it was an overall solid season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm expecting them to build on that this year. I think their division is pretty cupcake. I think they're the best team in it, but man, with these division games sure are tough, and this is a series that proves that more so than any other. So, the home team in this series has won 11 straight games. No matter the point spread, no matter who's the better team, no matter what, man. If you're the home team between the Colts and the Jags, you win the game, and that's been the case for 11 straight. Now, I don't think the streak continues. I think the Jags win this football game, but I am going to grab the points with the Indianapolis Colts as I think they compete, man. I'm not sure what to expect from Anthony Richardson. A lot of people think he's a bust. A lot of people think his upside is some of the best talent they've ever seen. So we're going to see it all translate here week 1 on the field. Again, I'm kind of riding with the trend. I think it's going to be a typical division game, tightly contested. I do think that the Colts can compete here. I don't like that Jonathan Taylor is not playing. I don't like what Jim Irsay had to say about Jonathan Taylor. But it is what it is. Many teams think that they can replace running back production, and I think this is a season where we're really going to see if that holds true. All that being said, it's hard to buck the trend, man. The home team has won 11 straight meetings. I think the Jags break the trend, win the football game, but I think the Colts can compete and cover. So I'm going to take them plus the 5 here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the New Orleans Saints at the crib laying 3 points on the Tennessee Titans. The line currently at the time of recording this video is 3. If it gets back up to 3.5 like it was earlier in the week, then I will take the Tennessee Titans. But currently at 3, I would probably just leave this game alone. In my mind, I think the Saints win this game 24-21. If this game was at a neutral field, I think this game would be an even line. If this game was in Tennessee, I think the Titans would be favored by 3. I think the hook looms large in this game, but if they don't give it to me, I wouldn't buy it. I would just stay and leave this game alone. I think this is a super tough game. I think the Titans always have a lot of value. They're a small town team that runs the football and is very well coached, and a lot of people just aren't looking to put their money on the Titans on the daily. And for that reason, there's usually quite a bit of value on the Titans. The thing is, I do think the Saints are much improved with Derek Carr. I think that if Michael Thomas returns and is anything like he was a couple of years ago, man, this could be one of the best receiving cores in the league with Chris Olave. I think this running back room is really, really deep, especially when Kamara gets back from suspension. I think this defense is going to be what it always is under Dennis Allen, really good. I think the Saints are a viable team, but I don't know, man. This is a very tough one. So again, if I get that hook, if I get the 3.5 without having to buy it, I'm gonna take the Tennessee Titans. If this game stays at 3, I'll probably leave it alone. If it falls below 3, if we get 2.5 on the Saints, I think 2.5 on the Saints is a good play. So this one's a play on the number. I think the number's right where it should be, though, currently at 3. My final score in this game is 24-21, New Orleans Saints. In one of the best games of the weekend, in my opinion, man, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the crib getting 2 points. Got the San Francisco 49ers coming into town. Um, a very interesting game. We know what's up with the Steelers. Haven't had a losing season under Mike Tomlin in quite some time. Mike T is one of the absolute best coaches in the league. I think Kenny Pickett in year two is going to take that second year step. I love what I saw from him over the offseason. Looked like the guy bulked up, really taking this thing serious, and I think is poised for a pretty nice season. George Pickens as well. I think this offense is in okay hands. I think Najee Harris is going to have a better season. We know this Pittsburgh defense is always legit and for real with Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt. Mike Tomlin just breathes defense, it feels like, man. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to compete this year like they always do. And I know they're in a tough division, man, but I really am high on this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and I am going to take them here week one, as I think they have a legitimate shot to win this game outright, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab the points. The San Francisco 49ers are and do have one of the best rosters in all of the National Football League. There's no debating that. But lost D'Amico Ryans. We talked about him earlier. Really brought a defensive edge to this team that I think will be missing. They had some quarterback controversy over the offseason. Trey Lance no longer with them. We know what they traded to move up and get him. So, that was in the air. Brock Purdy, I think something that's got lost in all of this is Brock Purdy got hurt at the end of last year in that playoff game, was unable to finish it, and had to have surgery over the offseason. This is a guy who did not start to begin last year, was a rookie last year, just played out of his mind. So coming off of a surgery, week one, on the road against an amazing defense. I'm worried about the San Francisco 49ers offense. I'm worried about the 49ers. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers can steal this game, kind of how they stole game one last year against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike T, Goat, Kenny Pickett, and crew at the crib, man, as I think the Steel Curtain is going to be pretty tough to beat at home week one. All right, next game up, man. We got the Washington Commanders at the crib, laying 6 points on the Arizona Cardinals. In my opinion, the worst team in the NFL, man. Looks like they're going to be starting Joshua Dobbs. Kyler Murray still injured, man. Possibly could be out the entirety of the season. I think the Cardinals are poised to have one of the worst seasons in NFL history. I really do, especially when you're starting Joshua Dobbs, a guy who wasn't even there to play in the preseason with you guys, so he's catching up in the playbook. I just don't think it bodes well, especially offensively, for a Cardinals team that I think is in full-blown tank mode for an elite quarterback like Caleb Williams, who and I don't even think wants to go play for the Cardinals, because we've heard rumblings that he might stay in college to avoid certain teams. So, that's just, it's early in the year. It's early to be talking that. But I do think that it's the Cardinals' plan to tank the season and try to get an elite level quarterback and start over. First year head coach. I'm not looking to grab the points here with the Cardinals, but I'm not looking to lay them either with the Washington Commanders. I do think the Commanders win the football game. I think the Commanders are the better team, but not looking to lay this many points with the Washington Commanders, the former football team. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the under here between the Cardinals and the Commanders. I could see the Cardinals really struggling offensively with Joshua Dobbs, just getting in the system. Not a whole lot of weapons on the outside, just an ugly football game offensively for the Cardinals. I do think the Commanders could have more success offensively with Sam Howell, who did show some spots of being an NFL quarterback last year, especially against my team, the Dallas Cowboys. So I do think there's some hope there. He has a great coordinator in Eric Bieniemy coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs. So there is some positive things there, but I'm still not sure that they just come light the scoreboard on fire. And I think most of the scoring comes from them. I think the Cardinals struggle against this Ron Rivera Washington Commanders defense. All in all, I think the Commanders win the game. Don't feel comfortable laying the points with them. I would much rather think that this is going to be a lower scoring game and take the under, the low total already of 39. We're in Chicago for this one, man, where we got the Chicago Bears laying 1 on their division rival, the Green Bay Packers, a Packers team that has, over the last few seasons, owned this Chicago Bears team. At least that's what Aaron Rodgers sure would yell at this Chicago Bears team. The thing about it is, though, is Aaron Rodgers is no longer in Green Bay. He's in New York. It's a new sheriff in town in Green Bay. His name is Jordan Love, and I'm not sold on this guy. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm not sold on the head coach either in Matt LaFleur. I know he's had some pretty good record-wise seasons, but all of those were with an Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. So I have to see his body of work. Having to start over and having to start over with a young guy like Jordan Love who doesn't have a lot of film out there. I'm not high on this Green Bay team, man. I think that they could finish last in their division. I think this could be a real struggle season for them, and I'm leaning towards the Chicago Bears here early, week one in this football game. I just think they're extremely motivated. I love the pieces that they added. It started at the end of last season, added Chase Claypool, another weapon for Justin Fields, added DJ Moore over the offseason. Man, we know how electrifying that guy is. We know how electrifying Justin Fields already is on his own with his legs, man. I think the Bears are going to be a fun team to watch this year. I think we're going to make some money betting the Chicago Bears, and I think they start their season off in a huge way finally. And I mean finally beating a Green Bay Packers team like I said a minute ago has definitely owned them. But I think now that Rodgers is gone, the tide is starting to turn. I'm taking the Chicago Bears at home week one over the Green Bay Packers. Here we are in another division game, man. We got the Denver Broncos laying 4 on the Las Vegas Raiders. Sean Payton, the new sheriff in town in Denver, trying to fix Russell Wilson, who was, in my opinion, the most overrated quarterback coming into last season, and we saw that come to fruition as it was a terrible season for the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson didn't really want to get out of the pocket and move much more anymore. Nathaniel Hackett was blamed for all the offensive problems, even though they were bigger than just Nathaniel Hackett. I do think Nathaniel Hackett was a pretty bad coach, but I think the issues were bigger than him. And I don't think that Sean Payton is just going to come in here and just magically fix everything. I think this Broncos team has some severe issues. I think the Raiders are severely underrated. I think Josh McDaniel finally got his guy in Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy he's had some time with before, as these guys were in New England together for a good amount of time. Josh Jacobs is now in the building, going to be running the football for them, led the league last year in rushing yards. I think going to have another good season. Top 5 receiver in the game in Devontae Adams. Have a great defensive line, which I think will give this Denver Broncos offensive line severe trouble. I think Russell Wilson is going to be running for his life in this game, and I think all the value is on the Las Vegas Raiders getting 4 points. I would not be surprised at all if the Raiders won this game outright. I think the Raiders are the better team. I think Denver's struggles continue, and I think the Raiders might hold a ton of value to be a sneaky good team this season. Next game up, we got a really good one. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at home, laying 3 on the Miami Dolphins. 2 teams that I think are really close, man. They're not the top teams in the AFC, but they're right there competing, and if things break the right way, can really make some noise. But I think the Chargers are just severely overrated. I do. I'm sorry. I do. I'm not a huge Brandon Staley fan. I think he should have been fired a couple years ago. I think this team could really use a great head coach. I don't think that he is that. I think Justin Herbert is one of the more overrated quarterbacks in the league. I still have him in my top 10. A lot of people have him in their top 5. I need to see this guy with some postseason success, man. He has 0 playoff wins. And he had a chance to make the playoffs a few years ago, lost to the Raiders in the last week of the season, had a 27-point lead just this past year. We saw that evaporate like that against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who sent them home packing. I'm not sold on this Chargers team. I do like their weapons, Keenan Allen. I love the addition of Quentin Johnson out of TCU. I love Austin Eckler. I think this team will score some points. Probably going to be one of the highest scoring, if not the best offense in the entire NFL, with Kellen Moore now at the helm, former offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Had a few seasons of number 1 offenses there. I do think he will bring some offensive production to the Chargers. Problem is, Kellen Moore offense produces a lot of yards, a lot of points, a lot of offense, but also opens the door for a lot of turnovers. We saw Dak's numbers rise. He runs a lot of options and a lot of curls, which can be picked off if read right by the defense. I think we see his INTs, Justin Herbert's, rise a little bit this year. On the other side, we got a Dolphins team that I think is really good, man. Their season was derailed by injury last year. I think if Tua would have stayed upright, this team would have been way better off. This team won a lot of games when Tua was healthy last year, and I think that will probably be the case this year. One of the best wide receiver duos in NFL history, in my opinion, between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I'm interested to see them take a step forward this year with Tua playing majority of the season. I think the most underrated part of this Dolphins team, though, is the defense, man. I think this defense is criminally underrated. I think we see them show that here week one against the Chargers, high-powered offense. A good game. I think the line is right where it should be at 3, but me personally, I'm taking the Miami Dolphins plus the 3, as I do think they have a legitimate shot to win this game outright behind great defensive play, the better head coach, and a high-powered offense. Next game up, man, we got one of the toughest games on the card, in my opinion. We got the New England Patriots at the crib getting 4 points against the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that just was in the Super Bowl last year and came up just short against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes and crew. I still think the Eagles are going to be one of the best teams in the NFC this year. I do. Do I think they're going to be the best like they were last year? I don't, but I still think they have a legitimate shot to get back to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, I want to see him do it again in the second year. Really a great season from Jalen Hurts last year. I'm a Cowboys fan. I hate the Eagles more so than anybody else, but we got to call a spade a spade. Jalen Hurts played out of his mind last year. Can he replicate it and do it in back-to-back seasons? That's what I want to see from him. Offensively, I still think they have one of the best offensive lines and defensive lines in the game. Devontae Smith is legit. So is A.J. Brown. I worry about their secondary, and I worry about this team losing their coordinators. I also worry about them playing a first-place schedule, not having that cupcake schedule like they had last year. So just a few things that I'm worried about with this Eagles team. I still think they're poised to have a good season. On the other side, we got the New England Patriots. We know what's up with them, man. Always well coached by one of the best, if not the best head coach in the game, Bill Belichick. I think this defense is going to be extremely solid this year. I think this offense has some work to do. I do, and I'm interested to see how they look week one here against Philadelphia. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game, though. I do. And with that being said, I'm going to grab the points here with the New England Patriots. I got the Eagles winning this game 17-14. Patriots getting the cover. I think the Eagles struggle a bit early in the season. New coordinator trying to get it together. I think the Patriots defense keeps them in this game. Max Jones and the offense does just enough to keep this game competitive. I don't think they win it, but I do think they can cover the point spread. Give me the Patriots plus the 4 as a home dog here in week one. We got the Seattle Seahawks opening up their season at home against their divisional opponent, the Los Angeles Rams, man. Seattle had a pretty good season last year, man. Geno won Comeback Player of the Year, but I need to see Geno replicated, man. I'm not that high on Geno like a lot of people are. We got to remember, Geno came into the season last year in a quarterback battle with Drew Lock. I need to see Geno do it again in back-to-back seasons. I do love his wide receiver core in DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Njigba Smith, who will play this week. But you got to have a quarterback to get it to him. And again, I'm not sold on Geno Smith. I want to see him do it again in year 2. I think this Seattle defense has a few holes. And I think here in a division game with a veteran quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback on the other side with one of the best offensive play callers in Sean McVay, I do think that the Rams have a legitimate shot to keep this game close, and I'm going to grab the points with them here in this one. I know this is a Rams team that is a few years removed from a Super Bowl. They sold out for that Super Bowl, and we're now seeing them pay the consequences of that. Salary cap-wise, can't really have some of the topper echelon guys on their roster, but they still have some guys on this roster, and I think we see them compete here, especially in a divisional game. They're very familiar with this Seahawks team, and I think that defense for the Seahawks is a sieve, and I think we could see Matthew Stafford have some time and put up some points. If I had to pick a final score in this one, I'm going to go somewhere along the lines of 24-20 Seahawks. I think the Rams get the cover. I think the Rams play this game pretty tough. I can't wait till Cooper Kupp gets back for them. I hate that he's not playing here in this game, but I still think that the Rams can compete. I'm going to grab them here, plus the 5.5. All right, we got my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, out on the road facing the New York Football Giants. What Carrie Underwood say? I've been waiting all day on Sunday night. Nah, for real, man. I am super excited about this game. Short, sweet, simple. Y'all know where I'm at. I am taking my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. I'm laying the points. One thing we don't do is lose to this New York Giants team. We don't do that. Daniel Jones against Dak Prescott in his career, 0-6. Brian Daboll, 0-2 against the Dallas Cowboys. We just don't lose to this team, man. I think the Cowboys, this is one of their best teams in recent memory. I think the Cowboys have a legitimate shot to make the Super Bowl this year. I think that their main competition is going to be their divisional opponent, the Eagles, who they split with last year. But I love the additions that the Cowboys made over the offseason, adding veteran top 5 corner in the league in Stephon Gilmore, adding real 1,000-yard receiver in Brandon Cooks. Still have a top 2, not 2 defensive player in the league in Micah Parsons. Tony Pollard, now the feature back. I expect to see him really flourish this year. I like the change of pace back we got out of Kansas State in Deuce Vaughn. I just like the approach the Cowboys took this offseason. Got rid of Kellen Moore, who was having a little friction with Dak offensively. The numbers were there, and I think, he did do a lot of good things here in Dallas, but again, those curl routes, those option routes really weren't the best thing for Dak. And I think now with McCarthy and Dak both in the driver's seat, I think this offense is going to flourish. I think we see Dak's interceptions come down. I think we see the Cowboys poised for a really nice season, and they don't lose to the Giants, man. I'm laying the points here with the Cowboys. I think they win this game fairly comfortably. I think that Daniel Jones is severely overrated. I think that Brian Daboll is a little out of his depths. I think this defense is not as good as last year, and I got the Giants probably finishing 4th in this division this year. I'm not as high on them last year. They were a cover machine last year. Daniel Jones did take a step forward, but I think he takes another step back this year. I just don't see it. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys here. I think we kick the crap out of the Giants like we always do. All right, last game, man. We got the Buffalo Bills facing the New York Jets on Monday Night Football, man. Jets getting 2.5 at the crib. I think the Jets are going to have a really good season. It's a new era for them. It's the Aaron Rodgers era. And I think Aaron Rodgers is actually really happy to be in New York, man. I know we've seen him win a couple MVPs up there in Green Bay, but it just seems like towards the end, it became disgruntled. He didn't really want to be there. I think he is excited to be here in New York, and I think this is some of the best offensive weapons that this guy has had. I think that the secret sauce for this Jets team is actually going to be that running game with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, a real two-headed monster. Garrett Wilson on the outside is a legitimate weapon as well. I think the defense is going to be solid. I just think that the Jets are an all-around solid football team, and they were probably a quarterback away from really making and doing some damage last year. Now adding Aaron Rodgers to the fold, I think that they're poised to win this division. I think the Dolphins finish second, and I think the Buffalo Bills are probably going to finish third and have a legitimate shot to miss the playoffs. I just think that their schedule is a gauntlet, man. If you really go through and look at it, man, they have to play a first-place schedule that is not that favorable for them. Josh Allen, I'm not as high on him as a lot of other people are. I think he's turnover prone. I think Stephon Diggs wanted out for a reason. I know he's tried to walk it back a little bit now, but I think there was some glaring issues there. I don't think that they'll be able to just run the football enough to alleviate some of that pressure off of Josh Allen. I just think that overall, collectively, I like this Bills roster. I think it's slightly overrated. I think the Bills are slightly overrated. I know a couple of years ago we saw them go toe-to-toe with Mahomes in that playoff game, one of the most exciting games I've ever seen. Josh Allen does have big game, big playability, but I don't know. I'm just not sold on Buffalo, man. I think, again, they're going to be third in this division. I think the Jets are going to be a real powerhouse, man. I think that and it starts with running the football. I'm going to take the Jets here on Monday Night Football, plus the 2.5 at home. And I wouldn't be surprised at all in any capacity if they won this game outright. And that's going to conclude this episode, man. I really appreciate all y'all joining me and tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button for your guy, man, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. My best bets, the plays that I have the most money on, the plays that I feel most comfortable with, are my premium plays, and those plays can be found over at Pickdawgz Premium. Make sure you guys tune in to all my live shows Monday through Friday, man. Mondays, we look back at what we learned on Sunday, man. We try to become betters. We learn from our mistakes, and we get ready to attack the next week. Tuesdays, I bring in 3 guests from the Pickdawgz YouTube channel, man, and we break down a few games from the schedule coming up, and we talk some football. Wednesdays is the NFL show, me, Big Al, and Mitch. That show is pre-recorded for this week if you want my opinion and both of those guys' expert opinions on every single game on the card. Thursdays is very similar to Tuesdays. I bring in a few guys. We talk some football. We give out some free picks. Friday, NFL show, me, Kyle Kerms, Prop Beaver, and Mitch Wilson, man, of course. And we're going to cook up the football card one more time. Last look before Sunday. So action from me all week long. Make sure you guys are tuned in. Again, I appreciate all of you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's continue making some money, man, and I'll holler at you guys later. I'm out of here.